Welcome po sa aking channel, Early Love Channel. Welcome everyone, good evening, Pyo Butang, Assalamualaikum, and magandang gabi sa lahat. Guys, tuloy ko po ang chapter 36 ng Claiming Her Back, David's Point of View. Hindi ko na patagalin. I stayed awake until the morning. Once Libby fell back to sleep, I just sprawled on the couch, was watching some news on the television. Around 6 a.m., I decided to cook breakfast since I didn't have anything to do yet. I got back to the bedroom to check on them, and there I saw my little boy scrolling playfully around the bed, while his mom was peacefully sleeping beside him. When he saw me, his eyes widened in happiness and he extended his arms to me. I picked him up and he giggled while I kissed his tummy. Let's go outside. We don't want mommy to wake up, right? I tickled him and he happily nodded like he understood what I was telling him about. I heard the doorbell ring. Franz and a woman stood outside with worried face. I let them in and I explained everything that happened last night. The woman introduced herself as Katie, Livy's best friend. Suddenly, the bedroom door opened and Livy rushed to us. She looked cute in my oversized shirt and big pajamas. Katie and Franz hugged the anxious Livy. I don't know what to do if something bad happened to you. I will never let them escape the prison, Franz warned in a concerned tone. I'm fine now. She kissed his cheeks. I was standing there while carrying my son who was happily bouncing up and down. David, thank you for coming on time. Thank you for saving them, Franz spoke. It's my responsibility to protect them, Franz, I replied proudly. After we ate breakfast, Franz drove Katie to work while we were left alone in the house. I could feel Livy's uneasiness every time our skin touched. Her skin felt abnormally hot and she sneezed a lot. She even asked me to keep our baby away from her for a while because she might possibly infect him with her sickness. What time are you leaving? She asked me while rubbing her nose. I gave her a confused look. You can leave any time you want. Thank you for coming over. I want to stay. I want to take care of you and our son. Please, I pleaded. Luckily, she knew that otherwise we would be having a long discussion again. Come on, baby. Let's take a bath. I picked up my son and he squealed in happiness. I'll bath him, she offered. No worries, baby. I got it. Just sit there, relax, and watch cartoon. I winked at her. She looked surprised. Yes, baby, I still remember you love cartoons. I never allowed her to overwork herself. I didn't want her doing the house or the laundry. We had housekeepers to do them, but she always insisted to do them by herself. In her free time, she would watch cartoons or reading books in my library. There were even times I joined her with popcorns and chips in front of us while watching cartoons. It was silly to think that a big guy like me was watching cartoons, but watching it with my wife was the best feeling no other man had ever experienced. Can you manage bathing him? Of course I can, I happily answered. I read many books about babies, so I think I will do good in this. I had purchased many books about babies and made research on parenting starting the day I learned about my son. I never missed a day without reading them. I had to impress Livy when I would come back. As you wish, she replied. Livy had to help me undress our little munchkin. He could not stop squealing and bumping playfully, and I had a hard time undressing him. My precious son. There you go. Thank you, Mommy. I noticed Livy chuckled when I talked like a baby. I carried my cute little monster to the bathroom while singing a song. He giggled and chuckled irresistibly while I was washing him inside the tub. I had to protect his head from the rough edges. I could not keep him still. He wanted to play and he kept splashing water at me. And when I groaned and made funny faces, he would laugh more. I enjoyed the moment. I love doing every single thing with my son. I wonder how Livy made it despite being alone for years without me. I will never let you alone again, baby. I will be there for you forever and I will love you and our children forever. Children, the thought made me feel ecstatic. I will keep you pregnant each succeeding years, baby. You will stay with me forever. The tub was surrounded with bubbles and my baby kept on throwing bubbles at me. I decided to join him inside the tub. We were laughing and playing that I almost forgot that time already. We stopped giggling when I heard the door open. Both I and my toothless baby grinned at her. She saw and smiled. Time to get up, she said while pulling a towel. I stood up, unaware of my nakedness, and when I saw Livy, I just then remembered I had no cover down there. My mighty friend was standing proudly and I gave her a seductive look. She was she blushed before walking out. I followed them inside the bedroom and Libby put him on the bed. My baby squealed and crawled around the bed showing his naked butt. Livy tried applying some lotion to him, but he kept avoiding it by scrolling away. We both chuckled by his playfulness. I tried chasing him, but he kept scrolling away while giggling. I felt the towel loosening, but I ignored it and just focused catching him. It just happened that the towel eventually fell off, and the next thing I saw was Livy's face in front of the cup. You didn't tell me you want it, baby. My lip. She bit her lip and her face was heating up. She could quickly move away, but I caught her on time and pinned her down on the bed. I bit my lower lip like a maniac, and seeing her under me made me groan. We were interrupted when our son crawled back to us, so I had to release her. I have one class today. Can you watch him for a while? I should be back after 2 hours. Sure, no problem, baby. I smiled at her. It was lunchtime and I just had finished feeding my son. He eventually took a nap after drinking his full milk. Around 1:30 p.m., Franz came to visit and he allowed me to go out for lunch with Livy. I went to the university to surprise Livy and take her for lunch. I was waiting for her inside the faculty office when a brunette woman came to me. Hi, I'm Victoria. I am a PE teacher here. Good afternoon. I am waiting for Olivia, I replied while returning a handshake. She must be somewhere outside. Her stinging voice irritated me. Her cleavage were showing and she even lowered her neckline more. No one can defeat my Olivia. Even in her baggy clothes, she was still the most beautiful and sexiest of them all. She tried opening a conversation, but I was not interested at all. I wanted my Olivia only. Mr. Patrick, the dean, came and greeted me. I told him I was waiting for Olivia. I decided to wait for her outside the office, but Miss Victoria pulled me and she clung to my arms and offered to help me around the school. Her advancement shocked me, but I still faked a smile. Just in time, Livy entered, and when she saw us stood, she got furious. She gathered her things and stamped out of the office. I followed her while calling her name, but she was not looking back. I saw her entering the cab, but she was just ignoring my call. I ran after her, but the cab had already drove off. Shit, what have I done? I gripped my hair disappointedly. I called my driver to take me to Livy's house, but when I got there, the apartment was silent. I called her phone several times, but she was not answering neither. I had no idea where she went. She was not returning home for 3 days now. I had been sitting on her doorstep waiting for her, but she didn't return. I never left her place. When I went back to the hotel to change clothes and shower, I always had men watching her apartment in case she would come back, but she never did. I just remembered to call Franz, but he refused to give his address. He told me they were doing fine with him, but he had been worried about Libby's upset state. I explained to him what happened and he clearly understood, but he still didn't allow me to see Libby yet. I always visited the university hoping I could catch her and talk to her, but whenever I came closer, she would give me her deathly glares. Whenever she did that, it scared the hell out of me. She is the only woman that can bring me down to my knees. I had not got enough sleep for the past few days. I only showered as quickly as possible so I could go back to her apartment to wait for her, but she still was not returning home. Again, it was getting dark and I was sitting in the front porch outside her apartment. A cab stopped and I saw her coming out. Our eyes were locked. I looked like a disaster, I know. It had been a while since I last shaved, and my eyes were swollen from not getting enough sleep. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I came to see you." I walked towards her and hugged her. I could not contain it anymore. I cried on her shoulder. "I'm sorry." I repeated the word several times. "I keep hurting you. I am sorry, baby." "Let's get inside," she said softly. I instantly followed her like a lost puppy. "Go freshen up," she said while handing me a towel. After I showered, she offered some fresh clothes that must belong to Franz. "Sit," she uttered while arranging the food on the table. "Aren't you going to eat?" I asked. "I'll have dinner at Franz's place." "Please don't leave yet," I pleaded, and she just glared at me. "If you leave, I will not eat," I whined like a child. "Are you serious? If you don't want to eat, then don't." She scolded back and walked away. I stood up and quickly ran to the front door. I blocked her way by spreading my arms wide. "You will have to face me before you can get out. Are you seriously detaining me in my own house?" She looked furious already. I bit my lower lip. "Get out of my way," she scolded again. "No, David James Miller," she yelled fiercely. "No, you can't scare me, Olivia Miller." Her irritation was obviously boiling up. The next I knew was she was throwing punches to my chest. Honestly, it didn't hurt me an inch. She looked annoyed and flustered when she noticed I was not hurt at all. I lifted her up, carried her by my shoulder, and slapped her butt. She was screaming and kept punching my back, but I knew it annoyed and irritated her more when her punches never damaged me at all. I pinned her down to the bed and I situated myself between her legs. She was still screaming and tried getting off, but I defeated her with my large frame. "Olivia Miller, calm down. Get off me. I swear I will kill you." "No, you will not." "Yes, I can." "No, you can't." I covered her hot lips with mine. She wiggled and fought me to get away. She was not responding to my kiss, so I tried entering her mouth by my tongue. Our missionary position made me want to strip her right then and there and enter her fully. "Open your mouth, babe." I seduced her with my eyes before kissing her again. Her mouth was eventually open and I devoured her lips like it was my last meal. She seems to enjoy the moment that she just kept her eyes closed while following my stroke. Are you going to listen to me now? I whispered. Get off me first, she snapped wearily. No, I won't let you go, never again, I told her before kissing her deeply again. Wait, wait. Chapter 37, David's Point of View. I brushed and sprawled her hair freely on the bed while I was still on top of her. I was visiting you at school since Franz offered to watch our son. Mr. Patrick assisted me, but Miss Victoria came and offered to help me instead. She kept on talking and laughing to me, but I didn't listen, and I never cared what she was saying. My mind was filled with ideas on where to take you out. I did return the gesture as a respect. I'm sorry, baby. I was insensitive. I should have known it was hurting you already. It was never my intention to hurt you. She just glared at me with question in her eyes. Even if you would ask Mr. Patrick, I went there and was looking only for you. She sighed and nodded and gave me a tiny beam. I cupped her face closer to mine and we were only centimeters apart. When I say I am going to get you back, I swear in all my life and forever that I will never stop until my last breath. How could you say that after all you've done to me? You were the one who pushed me away, remember? Her expression became serious again. Disappointed and crushed, I looked down. I received a mail in my office before I got home that night. There were pictures of you and different men on the bed. I tried processing it in my mind. I was convincing myself that my wife could not do that, but you didn't try harder, she interrupted. Instead, you listened to the pictures who can't even talk. You didn't listen to your wife who has a mouth to speak. I know I was fooled and I was stupid. You're not stupid. You were not a man enough to your wife. The truth hit me to the core. What was more hurtful was it came from my own wife. I was not a man enough to my wife. We were both aware that our marriage was an agreement, but David, I am and have been always true to my vows. Tears started to fall on her cheeks. I kept my head down. I was ashamed. What made you believe that I was involved with other men? You insisted I should not get a job and just stayed home. I obliged. You hired a platoon to guard the house. I didn't complain. You always called me on the phone every chances you get. I always answered. I didn't know you have doves. I'm sorry. She was choking, choking from her own tears. Ako ata yun eh. I'm sorry I was not good enough. I'm sorry I was not the wife you needed. I'm sorry I didn't meet and achieve your expectation. I'm sorry I didn't satisfy you like the woman you had before. I'm sorry I was a virgin and an inexperienced. She was not able to finish it. She cried harder. It was too painful for me to see her cry, but I knew it was most painful to her. I destroyed her. No, baby, don't say that. There is nothing you need to be sorry for. You are everything I want and I need. You are everything I prayed for. I wrapped my arms around her waist and kissed her forehead many times. You're not that woman. I know you will not do it to us. I know and I believe you now, baby. I'm sorry it took time for me to realize. Have you already confirmed that was not me? I had it investigated. It was all Photoshop. So when you found out that it was all Photoshop, that guaranteed you that I was innocent? That honestly shocked me. There were no words coming out from my mouth. Who sent you the photos? It had no name on it. Miranda also examined the picture and, oh, Miranda, your ex-girlfriend. I'm not surprised. She laughed sarcastically. Now I can say you're really stupid. She laughed hilariously. while tears were flowing down her cheeks. So you trusted her more. I didn't answer. Why don't you go back to London and marry her instead? That hit me again. You said you believe me, but you don't trust me, David. She wiped her tears and got off from the bed. That moment, I released her, and before she could reach the door, she stopped and turned back. David, I looked at her remorsefully. David, you ever love me? Did you ever love me? She asked, nervously. She just popped the question. I never saw it coming. I could not utter any words. Instead, I walked towards her and swiped her off her feet and gave her a deep, passionate, and everlasting kiss. I love you, I uttered between my kisses. I love you most, baby. After making sure she had a ride back to Fran's place, I returned to the hotel immediately. She refused an offer from me. I didn't insist to. I didn't want her to get upset again. When I reached my hotel room, I quickly dialed my lawyer to have Miranda investigated. I called my close friend and also a well-established billionaire, Adric Stepan, and told him everything that happened here. And I also asked him to manage the company temporarily while I was gone. I ordered my vice president to provoke Miranda from any accesses to my properties, including entering the company. Once I get back to you, woman, I will kill you, I swore. Adric had always been a brother to me. He was the one who made me realize that Miranda had been cheating on me for a long time with an older billionaire. He had to knock me out badly just to awake me from my sanity. I was still on the peak of my career and was building my own image, but Miranda wanted a well-established rich man, not a striving model. Aldrich was the one who initiated the investigation to know if my wife had really cheated on me. I was not living my life. I was only existing for the past years. I could not put myself together. There was always missing in my life. It was my wife. Aldrich even had to push me to get on the plane to search and take my wife back. I was a complete fool. I didn't let her speak or explain. I was swallowed by my own stupidity. I destroyed my wife, her love and trust for me. How could I do that to her? I sat on the bed and sobbed quietly. I felt so shameful. My own wife doesn't trust me anymore. I never knew what happened to her after I threw her out of our house. I still had her clothes and other stuff arranged inside our room. I didn't have the heart to throw them away. Those were only the things that reminded me of her. That was probably the reason why I could not move on. The next morning after the night I divorced her, I stayed home all day hoping she would come back for me, but she didn't. I failed as a husband, I failed her. I established myself as a billionaire. I conquered the modeling industry and made myself famous. I conquered the business world and made myself a billionaire. But sadly, I failed my role as a husband and as a father. I woke up feeling ecstatic for the day. I got a text from my wife asking if I could watch our son for a while she worked. I excitedly replied, "Yes, baby, I'm coming." I never used emoji before. I chuckled to myself. I almost ran to the shower with so much excitement. I shaved and showered properly. I had to smell and look good when I faced my wife. I chose my casual wear and sprayed body perfume. This perfume was Livy's favorite. I brought several of them with me before I took the plane. When I reached Livy's apartment, I composed myself first before knocking. I was tense and excited at the same time. I looked like a teenager boy nervously standing outside his date's house waiting for her to come out. She let me in and I kissed her cheeks, making her blush. Sorry. She sniffed and I noticed her smell. This is your favorite perfume, baby. I walked to my son and I lifted him up, making him giggle adorably. It was the weekend and I planned to take them to the park. I prepared a basket full of fruits and snacks. I dropped the card myself. I wanted to have them all to myself for the weekend. Okay, with that. I arranged our food on the blanket while Libby and our son practically walking on the grass. My bubbly baby was enjoying the nature and watched the other kids playing around. We played and rolled on the grass. He didn't want to leave and he even had tears in his eyes when we walked away from the playground. The next following days were memorable to me. I became a certified domestic husband. I practiced and prepared well to impress my wife. I cooked most of the time, though it was my first time. Vacuuming was easy for me. I used to watch my mom doing those when I was kid, so I knew how to operate it. I did the laundry, which I never did before, and I found it exhausting. I disposed the garbage, purchased the groceries, took over diapers, duties, made baby formulas, made coffee for her every morning, and even scrubbed the bathroom floor for the first time in my life. How was she able to do all those things while being a single mom? She is really super. I am a proud husband. I had also experienced waking up in the middle of the night when my son cried and would want his milk bottle or if he would wet his diaper. I never woke Livy up. I always took charge of making his battles even my eyes were almost falling off. She let me sleep inside the room. I had a makeshift mattress on the floor. I never used to sleeping on the floor, but it was the happiest of me. There, sorry, excuse. Okay. She slept inside the room. I had makeshift mattress. Okay. But there was one night when my son wanted to sleep beside me. Livy didn't want him to sleep on the floor, but my baby clung to my neck, refusing to go to bed. Both of us chuckled to his innocent stubbornness. Livy let him be, and we slept all night long with him hugging me and me caging him protectively. The next morning, I felt something poking my cheeks. I opened my eyes and saw my son climbing on top of me, trying to wake me up. I carried him with me to the kitchen and we started making breakfast while his mom was still soundly sleeping. We were frying eggs and I taught him the step-by-step process of cooking. He seems interested on what we were doing. He clapped his hands and babbled like he was trying to tell me something. Baby, I found her sitting in the balcony sipping the coffee while watching the stars. She turned to me and smiled. I took a chair and sat beside her. I enveloped her with my arms and I felt happy when he leaned to my chest. I will be going back to London. She instantly straightened up to face me. No, it's not what you think it is, baby, I added. I want you both to come with me. She didn't respond. I touched her cheeks and kissed her nose. David, I know it's too soon. I am not imposing something or forcing you to do it, but I don't want to let you out of my sight again. Never again. I noticed her anxious face. Next week is my parents' anniversary. They are inviting us and they also want to meet their grandson. They miss you. I don't know what to say. She looked like she was about to cry. My mother was the one who kept on insisting me to marry. Sometimes I would intentionally avoid her so I could keep myself from all her rants of getting older and me getting married and her dream of having grandkids from his one and only son. I love my parents so much. When I introduced Olivia to them, my mom instantly called a wedding planner on the spot. When I told them we got divorced, my mom refused to speak to me for almost a year. My dad would always answer my call, but I knew he was also disappointed of me. But when I went to their house one day and told them I planned to travel to search for my wife, my mom jumped and hugged me in happiness. Do not come back in this house without her. She even warned me. David, it's okay, baby. It's alright if you don't want to come. I knew she would refuse, but I kept a smile to show that I was okay whatever her decision was. I want to. What? My eyes widened in surprise. I want to come. Really? Yeah, she said shyly. Like, seriously, I had to make sure I was not hallucinating. Did you change your mind? No, I mean, I thought you would refuse, but it's no problem to me whatever your decision is. She smiled shyly at me. I pulled her to my lap and ecstatically hugged her very tight. Thank you, baby, I said while kissing her cheeks and squeezing her cheerfully. I felt her breast pressing hard to my chest. She was only wearing a red flannel nightie inside her wrap. I can't breathe. I'm so sorry, baby. I got so excited. I released her immediately. I might had squeezed her too much. You're blushing. She teased me while still sitting on my lap. I'm a man. I don't blush. Did I really blush? Your cheeks are pink, she chuckled. No, they're not. I put Ted. Blushing doesn't make you less of a man. Admit it. She teased me again while laughing. No, I sang my answer. Fine. She got off from my lap and irritably stamped off. Hey, I called her and grabbed her by her waist. Baby, I'm sorry. Fine. I was blushing. I that obvious. She turned around and kissed both my cheeks. I instantly picked her up in a bridal style and carried her inside the bedroom. She giggled and wrapped her arms around my neck. I'm hungry, I whined while kissing her neck. So she replied innocently, you have to feed me. You're a big man. You sure know how to feed yourself. I licked my lower lip and gazed at her lustfully. I'll show you how big I am. I smirked before tossing her to the bed and I devoured her deliciously. Guys, hanggang doon lang muna tayo sa chapter 37. Malapit na guys. Mga apat na Ay, okay, mga 5 chapter na lang guys. So, matatapos na tayo. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Okay lang, doon lang sa mga nanonood. Um, okay, thank you ulit.